So this new one-inverter.com charge controller has charged my batteries over 47 kilowatt hours since I first installed this thing. And up here on top we have a little voltmeter and current meter that I bought from Amazon a while back. Of course, I bought this MPPT controller from Amazon. The power from the solar panels all comes into this fuse box, and so we've got 5 panels, 150 watts each, and they all converge into the fuse box. And let's see if I can get this booger open one-handed or not. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now it has a pull at the top, so when you pull that, it kills all the power from the panels to the control, solar control. And this right here shows the current output of the solar panels going into the MPPT controller, and from the controller the power goes down. The negative is black, positive is red. Power goes down through a fuse, and it's the kind that will blow in two, and mine has already because I've thrown too much power to the inverter, and it goes from there straight to the batteries. And from the batteries the power comes, where does that battery power come? Oh, it comes out of these other 2 wires right here, positive and negative, and it runs up to, there's a negative bus bar, and then we've got the positive wire runs in here to the bottom of the fuse box, or fuse panel. And on the fuse panel I've got it marked, kind of difficult. Top one's infrared. I've got an infrared light on the outside. That's your amp meter that is way up here. And then I've got cigarette lighter, which is right here, and then my overhead lights, which are all 12-volt LED lights. And then I have a terminal here marked test, which is basically I plug well, let's see, what do? I plug my battery chargers in. I've got 2 DeWalt chargers, both of them run off 12-volt DC, and I also have a charger that powers up the 18650 batteries, and it does a pretty good job, and it also runs off of 12 volts. So all my battery chargers run off of 12 volts, and I just plug them into the cigarette lighter right here. It's got a cap on it. Plug them into that. Eventually I'm going to put a USB out here so I can plug other things into that. Now the power, let's see here. Oh yeah, power for the inverter goes from the positive parts cable of the battery through that fuse and into this switch here, which is a 12-volt kill switch out of a race car. And from that point it goes into the inverter in the bottom of it, and the inverter is grounded. And out of the top of the inverter, when I want it, I'll turn on the inverter. It doesn't always stay on, it just comes on when I want it to, and then I'll cut it back off, and the power comes out of that to this cord, and that cord winds around a little bit and goes on up to a 110-volt circuit box with 2 breakers in it. So the main power coming from the inverter goes into this wire, and it goes into that fuse, which is 30 amp, or that breaker, which is 30 amp, and it circulates around and goes into this breaker, which has two breakers on it. One of them feeds this outlet, which is 110, and the second one feeds a wire that goes up and across the top of the building and works a outlet on the other side of the building over there, which is behind my old charge controller. Got a lot of stuff in here. I use this as my work shed, so I've got some oils up there and a few tools and odds and end things, but everything is fused so far. And then when the inverter is running, I have a shunt inside this box, and so it runs from the negative to the negative, and the wire that feeds off of here that ties to the shunt goes up, and it feeds all the way up to this box right here, which shows how much power that we're using whenever I cut the inverter off. So going back, we started at the MPPT controller, and we'll finish at that. So that's just a short summary of what I've got going on. And oh, I forgot to tell you that this little switch here, which I'm probably going to replace, just feeds two wires, and it comes off of the right here. It comes off of the fuse panel, circulates around, goes into here, and it feeds. There's two wires. It's number 10 gauge that goes across the top of the building and feeds the motorcycle over there and keeps the battery charged on it. So that's just a short overview of what I've got going on here, and it's a real primitive system, and all the batteries are in a box that's vented down here on the bottom, and I have vents in this shed that are continuous. And this box I built just to keep my grandsons from messing with the batteries, and I keep a couple of spare batteries here that I charge from time to time, and then I've got another spare battery over here that goes in the back of one of my vehicles. So it's just a primitive system, and that's about it. Adios.